Funny that it's Essendon player testing positive or something, isn't it?
Pull your finger out of your ass.
Jeez.
This is my first ever football jumper. My three votes for Charlie. Oh, top of the world, mate.
What a time to be alive.
I look a bit like Nickel Bellic from GTA 4, I feel, with this.
That could get dangerous.
G'day, Pressure Point fans. Welcome back to another episode 83 of the Pressure Point podcast. As you may have seen in our socials, this is a two-part episode, and I'll get into why that is a little bit later. But first of all, Marcus, again, welcome.
Thank you, mate. It feels weird being in the guest seat. It's a bit different. I feel a bit uncomfortable not being the one that's sort of directing it and having someone else there to sort of ask the questions too, so it's a bit strange.
Well, I tried to ease you into it. For those watching the YouTube, we're in a different little setup today. We're on couches up in your little living room area, your place. So we're a completely new area.
And it's mobile.
Exactly right. Pressure Point's gone mobile, which thankfully all the equipment we've got allows us to do so. But I'll get into the reason why we're here. And for those that have seen our socials, you already have a good idea as to what is going on. Due to November, I guess it's all in one. We decided to touch on men's mental health. I know a lot of people, grow mustaches. A lot of people go for runs, do big bike rides. But we thought the way we would tackle Movember this year is to touch on men's mental health, as I think it's a really big issue that doesn't get touched on enough. And I'm sure you can agree with that, Marcus. So it's been a little bit inspired by the Imperfects podcast, and especially their episode on Dylan Friends, when they sort of touched on life experiences that they'd had and things that they probably didn't open up about with other mates and things like that. And for those that don't know, Marcus and I, we know each other through, I'm dating his sister. So as you can imagine, we haven't really gotten too vulnerable with each other and sort of expressed our feelings and whatnot. So this is going to be something new for the both of us. And Marcus is going first this week. So first of all, I'll just pass it over to you, Marcus, for a quick second. How are you feeling about this and getting vulnerable?
Yeah, look, it's obviously something that is pretty big in society at the moment, men's health. And I'm more than happy to be doing this. It's obviously different for us because I feel like all we do is really talk about footy and Italian things and a few other things, but nothing too serious. Is always really lighthearted, and I feel like that's the same with a lot of male friendship groups as well, where people don't really open up. I think that's what girls do really well, is they're very open with their feelings, and guys just don't do that. Everything's pretty lighthearted and jokey, but I feel like since 5-10 years ago, it's gotten a lot better with men. So, by people doing this, and it encourages more and more people to do it. So, more than happy to kick things off and share my story and things I'm vulnerable about. So, it's going to be good.
Absolutely. Well, we may as well dive right into it. And like I said, the reason why we are doing this is it is something a little bit different. And you did mention we talk about a lot of Italian stuff. So being Italian, growing a moustache for us is too easy. So this is the harder route we've gone down, and I thought it'd be good to explore it. And we do normally talk about footy. So I will start this segment on a football-related topic because I think it's a good way to ease into it. And obviously being a Tigers fan myself, I was really big on the road that the Tigers took to winning the premiership in 2017, their first of the three that they won. And one of the big things they did in the preseason was really get to know each other on a more vulnerable level. And they did that by telling all their teammates about a hero, a highlight, and a hardship that they've been through in their lives. So that the three H's, or the triple H's for those wrestling fans out there. So I'll start off, Marcus, by putting it over to you again, and we'll get right into it now. Start off by giving everybody, a hero of yours. It could be more than one, a highlight of your life, and a hardship that's troubled you.
Yeah, no, this is a really good one. And yeah, as I said, a lot of footy clubs do this, so I feel like it's great. Hero, I'll start with hero. I'll give a couple of honourable mentions. It's very hard to split them. It was very hard to really pick one, but honourable mentions. I feel like my grandparents have been a huge part of my life. They're probably the two most selfless people you'll ever meet. As you know them quite well now too, and they'll do anything for you. And then the most loving people, and they've been through a lot. In particular, my grandpa. So they're two of my favourite people in the world. I've got them tattooed on me as well, so they're obviously pretty important. Another honourable mention is my dad. You can't go past your parents. Dad he went through a massive thing when he was 2021, where he was in a major car accident and had to learn to walk and talk again, and took him a long time to regroup and get himself better from that, and got told he'll pretty much never be able to have a family or work a full-time job, and he's proved everyone wrong. So as annoying as he can be now, he's absolutely a hero for what he's been through. And then, can't go past your mum. I think that's goes without saying for a lot of people. They're the most caring people, and mum, as you know, she's unbelievable, and she puts everyone first before her, and I don't know what else to say about her. She's great.
I can tell just talking about it how much they all mean to you.
It is hard to speak about them, to be honest, but if I had to pick one, mum would have to be it. She's been amazing in my life and helped me through some very, very challenging times.
Absolutely. Well, and this is why we're doing this as well, because these are the things that you think subconsciously, but you never say them out loud. So that's why we're here. But obviously, we've spoken about them. Tell us about a highlight. I'm sure at some point they would have been involved in certain highlights throughout your lives. But what's the main one that sticks out to you? And you might have a couple of honourable mentions as well.
Yep. I think an honourable mention will probably be the 2013 elimination final.
This has to be a joke.
Yeah. Well, a highlight for me, I think she's in the room right now, and my beautiful girlfriend, Kristen.
You're going to make me cry.
Meeting her over a year ago now was amazing. She's brought a lot of joy to my life and a lot of purpose, and she's great. We spend almost all day, every day together, and don't hate each other one bit. Which is pretty good for for people that work from home right next to each other. So she's great, and she's always got my back, and I've always got her back, and the love for her is second to none. So meeting her is definitely my highlight, I reckon, of my life so far.
It's definitely a good one. I'm glad you went with that over the 2013 elimination final. You could have raised a few eyebrows.
It was a real tough one to decide.
I could tell you were struggling to pick the two apart. We'll get into the last one out of the three H's, and that's hardship. Obviously, this is probably the most difficult one to talk about, and probably something I'm not aware of, so this will probably be new to me as well. But I guess, take it away. Tell us what's a hardship that's really troubled you over the years.
Yeah, so I've been on a bit of a journey over probably the last 2 to 4 years, I'd say, coming off the back of a pretty toxic relationship and a real toxic breakup. Really threw me around emotionally, mentally. So that was like a tough period for me for a couple of years there. And then probably about 2 years ago, halfway through 2019, around September 2019, bought an apartment, was living by myself, and found it really difficult and isolated, and so coming off and already being thrown around pretty severely emotionally and mentally with everything that was going on, and living by myself and isolating by myself probably wasn't the best idea, but I did it anyway, and I sort of forced myself to do it, and sort of had to make myself learn how to, be in my own company and live by myself. So I sort of forced that. And then, as the weeks went on, it just started getting worse and worse. I started feeling really anxious and really down. And then, so probably I said it's probably still in September 2019. And then Spud Frawley took his own life. And I was really, that shook me like a lot more than I thought it would. Like, obviously it was really sad, and love Spud, like great bloke. But at that time I was going through like real panic attacks, and sort of everything was just frazzling me. And I remember the next morning going into work and having these panic attack after panic attack, and I just couldn't. I had to leave. Like I was like spacing out. I was like sort of like hallucinating. It was one of the most scariest days I've ever had. And then called up mum, text Elisa, and just like, are you guys home? Like, I need to come home. And then got there, and pretty much as soon as I saw him, I just started bawling my eyes out, and just sort of needed someone to talk to about it, because it was just the most fearful time of my life, to be honest. Just thought the whole world was sort of caving in on me, and that sort of like, I was like, I was so anxious that like, I was like, well, what if I end up like Spud, or like, what if, you lose control and you go down some crazy hole, which was, my own brain just playing tricks on me, and I was just in an absolute spiral of anxiety. So yeah, I stayed at mum's for probably a week. Just didn't want to be sort of by myself. Just wanted to be around people and feel safe. And then moved back into my apartment. Felt good for about a week. And then just started feeling pretty anxious and shit again. And then I decided to get someone to rent out my apartment. Move back home with mum and dad for a few months just to get myself back healthy again. Booked in to see a psychologist who I saw for a few sessions, which was really good. And then this sort of I sort of managed it for a bit for a few months after that, and then got to about start of 2020, and I was just feeling terrible again. So booked in to see another psychologist, sort of closer to where I lived. I moved out to Hawthorn with my good friend Hawksy, as you know, and most people would know that listen to this. Had the time of my life there, which was great. That helped significantly. I was still seeing a psychologist as well, so anxiety was still prevalent, but I was able to manage it a little bit more through there. And then, fast forward a few more months, and towards the end of 2020, anxiety just spiraled again. It was probably the first time Kristen had sort of seen me like that, and sort of opened up to her about it, and it was pretty tough. It's the first time I really sort of cried or got vulnerable in front of her, so that was a pretty scary moment. And then sort of booked in to go see a psychologist again, so that was pretty tough. But then a few months go by, and sort of started feeling better, and just literally just chipping away at everything the psychologist told me to do, and just made me feel a lot better about myself, and made me be able to manage what was going on a lot easier. Because it turned me into a person I thought I wasn't, and it was very fearful. It affected my social abilities. Like, I didn't want to sort of go out because I didn't want to have a panic attack and things like that. So it was pretty full on at some points. I was able to manage it and mask it a fair bit, which was probably not a good thing in hindsight, but I was able to get through, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know I had anything going on, but that was pretty crazy. And then I reckon probably for the last 6 to 8 months, it's been really good, and I've got a really good rhythm with it, and know how to manage it really well, and through gratitude and journaling and just researching everything about it. So in a really good place at the moment, and I feel like that's pretty much it. So that's probably much been the last couple of years of my life that have probably been the hardest, I'd say, and probably the best as well. It's maybe the person who I am today, and it's built a serious, resilient nature in me. That's for sure.
Yeah, wow. I think what you said before about masking it is so true. I mean, you're someone I see most weeks. If even before the podcast, I know I wouldn't have had a clue that you were going through any of that stuff. I think masking it was obviously something you got good at. You talked about seeing a psychologist. How important was that, and how much of a difference did that make, and how much would you recommend that to people that are going through similar things?
I couldn't recommend it enough. I mean, like I had to see 3 different ones. So even if the first one you see you don't feel like it's vibing, just get a different one. Don't give up on it just because one of them doesn't work, because they're humans at the end of the day as well. So you sort of need to click with them. And then I eventually found one that worked for me, and I felt comfortable with, and they gave across some really good advice. So I mean, it almost goes without saying now, if you're not feeling great, just go see one, because they're probably the easiest people to open up to, because they're not related to you. They're not going to judge you or anything like that. So, couldn't recommend it highly enough. Yeah,
I guess, and like you said, at the end of the day, if you do feel embarrassed to open up to them, once you do it, you really, it's your choice if you want to see them ever again, and that could be it. So you don't have to worry about that, I guess, which is a good thing. You don't have that looming over you. At what point, obviously, like you said, when you were living by yourself, it got really difficult. At what point did you think, I really need to start doing something about this, rather than continue to bottle it up and keep it in? Because like I said, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was when I was having those panic attacks. When I was at work, just could not focus. Just felt just so much like trapped emotion in me that had been stored there and just pushed down for ages through shit that's happened in my life. And I've just sort of pushed it down and moved on with it. So that all just built up into this one big anxiety spiral and panic attacks, and that's when I knew I was like, this is not good. So that's when I booked in, and then with the support of the fam as well, they were huge. So wouldn't have been able to do it without them and their encouragement to go see someone as well.
Well, I'm glad you did that. And obviously, the last 6 to 8 months, like you mentioned, have gotten a lot better for you. So, obviously fantastic. You've climbed over that wall and you've made it to the better side of things. It was a bit disappointing for myself when there was less food around the house when you did move back home for a little part there. I was a bit disappointed you were eating a lot of my share of the food. So, I'm glad you're better now, but there was a time where I was a bit disappointed in you. But
well, lucky I did move out because my old room now is the podcast studio.
Exactly right. So it's worked out. It's worked its way around. That's obviously my way of handling things. Sometimes I like to throw jokes in there, but no, I'm obviously really stoked that you've had the courage to open up and tell me these things. Like I said, I had zero clue. I
feel like probably 6 to 8 months ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to speak about it or want to speak about it. So I feel like being in a good headspace now has allowed me to sort of just share it. And it's probably the easiest way for me to sort of tell everyone at the same time as well. Mates, family know it well, but probably not to the full extent. And mates certainly wouldn't know anything about it. So it's a good way to sort of share it all at once as well. And it's good just to have you in the room, you guys, so you guys can hear it firsthand. But it's good. I'm glad I'm doing it.
Absolutely. Well, another thing, like we said, we got a bit of inspiration from the Imperfects podcast, and it sort of touches on how nobody's perfect and everybody has their imperfections. Was there anything about yourself that you sort of didn't think was quite good enough, and did that ever weigh down on you? And if so, what did you do to combat those insecurities and things like that?
Yeah, I had massive self-esteem issues probably at the start of it. That probably started it all. Feeling not worthy, not good enough. Probably it stems back from just going through like a toxic breakup, just going through all that. All that was really tough, and sort of being told that you're no good or not being wanted, and so that was really tough, and probably something I still sort of had to manage and look closely at now. So, and it's just owning up to them as well and accepting it and being like, look, like this is the sort of the negative self-talk you got, and you sort of just acknowledge it and try flip it and turn it into something positive. So, because you're only telling yourself that at the end of the day, like it's they're your thoughts, you can control them. And something I've learnt along the way is you're in control of everything. Don't ever feel like you're not in control. So, all the thoughts you're having are your thoughts. If you want to change them, you change them. It sounds simple. It's a lot harder to do, but it's simple in theory.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, they are your thoughts, especially when it revolves around self-esteem issues. And there's a lot of people out there that would think completely different, but you would have no idea. I'd never admit this to you on a normal occasion, but especially when I first met you and you were at the gym at the time, you were working there and all that. I remember speaking to you early on, and we were just talking gym talk, what kind of weights you push and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, oh, geez, I got a bit of catching up to do with this bloke. I thought, geez, a bit bigger than me. I got to catch up to this bloke who's got the the perfect beard line, the perfect hairline. I thought, geez, I got a lot of catching up with this guy. So it's like especially early on. Now I got to know you a bit better. Obviously, things are a little bit different. But when I first met you as well, I thought like, oh, geez, this guy's. Well, I've got a lot to do, So it's and you would never have known that, because that's not something that I'm going to come out and say. Especially when I first met you, it's a bit strange, but.
Absolutely.
That is an example that you don't know how many other people are thinking similar things while you're beating yourself up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think that's another big thing as well. And something I probably still deal with today is that sort of that fear of judgment and sort of like that social anxiety as well. Where like you're so worried about what people think and what are they saying something about you, and sort of you get to the point where you get so anxious about it that you almost don't want to just remove yourself from it. So that's something I was sort of going through as well, and still do to a certain extent now. I guess that fear of judgment and trying not to care about what people think, because you're living your life and you do what makes you happy and not what other people what other people want you to do. And if they're giving you shit for things you're doing, then you probably need to reevaluate why they're in your life, which I've done. I've sort of distance myself from people that were like that, and they just bring you down, and you don't need that in your life.
How hard was doing that? Because I know for me personally, I'm a people pleaser, and as much as it would hurt, I would struggle to do something like that, even though it's the best decision. How hard was it to distance yourself from those people, or did it get to a point where you're like, they're just no good, they have to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really just having a conversation with them. It's more just like you don't have it. You just don't give your time to them. To be honest, you sort of just fade off. And I mean, if something does get pretty bad, obviously confront it. But I just sort of just phased it out, to be honest, and sort of I like to keep my friendship group nice and close now, and tight knit, and just hang around the people that make me feel good and that bring good value to my life. So and just don't give your time to the people that aren't worth giving your time to.
Absolutely. And I think you've touched on some pretty good key points there that people should, everyone's different, but I think for the most part, people should listen to. Is there any other advice that you'd have? Like I said, you've climbed over the wall for the most part, and you're in a pretty good headspace at the moment. Any advice that you'd have for any one of our listeners?
Yeah, just seek help. Like if you're feeling down, you're feeling shit, just go. If you don't feel comfortable going to see a psychologist, speak to the closest person in your life, because you'd be surprised on how much people are willing to help, especially the ones close to you. And if you're scared of them judging you, then they're probably not the right people in your life. So just do it. You'll be amazed by the help and love people give you when you're going through a tough time. So, and the best thing you can do is talk about it and not keep it bottled up like I did, and then it just all sort of just exploded at once. So, open up, get help, and just keep your group, keep your circle nice and positive, and surround yourself with great people.
Yeah, I love it. And obviously, as much as this is surrounded by men's mental health and the Movember Foundation, obviously this goes out to anybody as well listening, that this is just general advice for everybody. So thank you, Marcus, firstly. Before we wrap up, how do you feel getting all that out? There's obviously myself here, but there's a bit of a live audience behind us. How do you feel getting all that out now and to the general public?
Yeah, no, I feel great about it, to be honest. It's something I've something I wanted to do for a while, and I feel like, we've got a bit of a platform here to sort of do it. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to sort of share a story, and perfect timing with Movember as well to help break that stigma, and something I'm really passionate about. And I've done Movember a couple of times with my Mo and raising some money for that. So I thought it'd be a bit different this year and do it like this. And I hope if there's anyone listening, I hope I can encourage one person to go seek some help, and just through my story, and that's all I really ask for at the end of the day, is for everyone to to look after themselves and try help other people.
Well, like I said, this is part one of a 2-part episode, and I am next up, and you've given me a bit of courage now to speak up. I was very nervous leading into this, so I thank you for opening up, because now I've got a bit of courage for the next episode when that comes out. But I guess we've probably touched on it all, unless there's anything else you wanted to add. But
no, that's pretty much it. I feel like that's everything. That's the most I've ever sort of given out. So I think that's everything, mate. And now we reverse roles in next week or the week after, and I start asking you the questions, and you're the one that's getting all vulnerable. So it'll be fun.
Absolutely. No, I am really looking forward to it. Once again, thank you for opening up. This has been part one of a 2-part episode for the Movember Foundation. I hope everyone can jump into the link and donate whatever they can, whether it's to our donation page or anyone else's. Just all gone to the same cause at the end of the day. So really encourage you to get involved with that, and get around a mate as well and ask them if they're okay. It's never been a more important time, especially with what we've all been through in the last couple of years. So definitely get around a mate. But that is all we've got for this episode. Marcus, thank you again.
All right, thank you, mate. Loved it.